We have two of the Morris County freeholders here this evening to do a presentation and an overview of the 2016 budget. We have freeholder Christine Myers and the freeholder Hank Lyon. So I'm going to turn the floor over to yourself, and welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us. So we have handouts as opposed to doing overhead, so.
Okay,
And if we can get some in the back
that'd be great.
for your reading pleasure. Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, if anybody from the public would like a copy,
From the best hits list, right?
it sold that for $100.
I was gonna say, you didn't go low enough. Okay, that's not a joke.
Well, thank you.
We can donate it over to the county, maybe you can lower taxes a little bit.
That's it. Just gotta throw it out there.
Just throw it out.
Wanted for personal use.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Committee, for having us here today. This is a continuation of a tradition we've been doing for the past number of years. I know that this is, I think, my second time presenting the budget, so I'm pleased to be here. I know Freeholder Myers feels the same way. We're happy to be here. We think this is a good dialogue to have with our towns. So before you is the 2016 Morris County budget, and we'll jump right in. Turn to the first page, the budget goals. The goal of the Freeholder Board is to develop, adopt, and manage an annual county operating budget that remains financially and operationally efficient. We want to spend tax dollars in the most prudent way possible. Maintain all public safety initiatives. Naturally, public safety is one of the core foundations of government. We want to continue that in a strong way. Sustain all human service programs. Ensure the maintenance of all critical countywide infrastructure, which I know I was chatting with some before Transportation Trust Fund. That's difficult, but we're continuing to invest a large amount of county resources in infrastructure. We want to continue to protect the AAA bond rating. We've had that for decades, and we want to keep that for decades to come. And preserve the prudent and methodical use of fund balance. We don't want to start diving into fund balance in order to control this year's budget. We have to have good future year budgets also. Continuing on the next page, the development process from year to year. We develop it annually with a detailed and thorough review of every department's budget, analyzing all expenses and revenue opportunities to see if there are areas where we can cut or bring in more revenue. Potential service and funding areas. We look at future budget considerations. Again, it's one thing to have a good budget in 16, but we need to have it good in 17 and 18. We also take time to identify risk areas every year. Right now, we identify several state and federal funding changes, particularly at the Morrisview Healthcare Center. There have been changes from both the federal and state level. Unfortunately, those changes have been in the negative, so we continue to identify that as a risk. And then, naturally, a lot of government agencies are looking at pension and healthcare costs. We continue to see that as a risk going forward. 2016 versus 2015. In this year, our operating budget increased $11.3 million. I'll go through some of those increases at the bottom, although you will notice they do not add up to $11.3 million. That is because a portion of our budget, or a large portion of our budget, acts as effectively a pass-through through the state. And so there are times where they will pass through money to us, and so it doesn't affect the county taxes. So as an example, one of the biggest ones is psychiatric hospitals, in particular here, the Greystone site. That money flows through the county, but 85% of it comes to the state. But the reason that they flow it through our budget is because we do have to contribute 15%. But that portion can greatly fluctuate from year to year. So as an example, I remember my first year, I guess it would be 2013, that budget year, that amount, we had less residents in state facilities, and so that line item decreased $6 million, and then the next year it increased $6 million, and so it can vary radically. So a large chunk of our increase comes from things like that. What does impact county taxpayers, where those increases are coming, we have a $6.35 million increase in health insurance. That is because we faced an over 18% increase in our healthcare costs, which we will discuss more in a few slides. $1.75 million increase for anticipated salary adjustments. That's in line with our continued union negotiations. We have soon to be 22 bargaining units. We had 21. And we are obviously negotiating with them every day, year in, year out. Recently, we have been doing relatively well. We have been offering 2% or going up to 2.16% increases if lifetime health benefits are given up prospectively for new hires. And so we've been successful. So we're not too concerned with the increase there, unlike the 18% increase in health insurance costs. $1.2 million increase in state human service / mental health needs. As an example, that's part of the 15%. $0.82 million for the provision of various human service programs. That's primarily at the Office of Temporary Assistance. And then a $240,000 increase in pensions. Continuing on some budget highlights. We continue to maintain all county services in the midst of these difficult economic times. We provide shared services for both other counties and for municipalities. We deliver critical services for those in need of emergency assistance. We have many unique assets that we continue to maintain, like educational institutions, in particular the County College of Morris and the School of Technology. We have the largest park system, county park system in the state of New Jersey with 18,900 acres. We have historical and heritage associations, aquifers, recycling, and solid waste management facilities that we oversee. Continued budget highlights. The 2016 total composite tax effort is up 2.39%. So over the last 4 years, from 2012 to 2016, that is up a total of 0.5%, 0.5%. So if you look at below that, from 2013 to 15, the way you read this chart, in 2013, our tax effort declined 1.72%. In 2014, it declined 0.54%. In 2015, we held it exactly flat, 0%. In 2016, it is up 2.39%. Again, the most significant impact of this increase is the 18.9% increase in healthcare costs. We went out, we did a competitive bid. We had been with Blue Cross. They came in at, I think it was about 24%. It was in the 20s. Yeah. And so we did a competitive bid because we recognized that was too high. We ended up going through an entire process to shift carriers. We are now with Cigna. And we are continuing to look at the possibility of if we could save money in the future by going to self-insurance. To date, we have not, but we continue to look at that as a possibility. A lot of larger counties do self-insurance because with the number of lives at stake, that oftentimes tends to be more cost-effective.
Sure.
And you avoid some of the Obamacare taxes that otherwise we would be hit with. The next page is just a chart of the idea of introduced budget, our total spending, and the total tax effort going back to 2012. And I believe the final page that I will be covering before I turn it over to my colleague is the pie chart of where we're spending county resources, county tax dollars, and you can easily see that human services and public safety is the overall bulk. Between the two, it's nearly 50% of the overall county budget. I will turn it over to Freeholder Myers.
So part of, obviously, what we do is determine critical investment areas for our county, for its welfare and its viability. So an $11.8 million investment in the County College of Morris, a $6.2 million investment in the Morris County School of Technology, which is bursting at the seams, and that's going to be an interesting strategy for them because they're getting more and more desire to take students from all over the county. And then a $13.7 million investment in the Morris County Park Commission, which, as you guys also know, generates a tremendous amount of revenue for the county. On the Health and Human Services side, we do deliver over 500,000 meals to our senior citizens, which is such an effective program to reaching out to them. Morrisview Healthcare remains home to 283 individuals, and Hank mentioned it before. Because of the change in expanded Medicaid and what's going on, our ability, the tax burden on the overall residents is going up because we lost peer group funding, we're losing state and federal funding. It's not a great situation, but we are trying to look at it prudently, not just now, but over the long haul on what we can do with that facility for our residents.
Yeah, can I actually just add a little on that? Just to put it in perspective, in 2015, we lost our cash contribution from county taxes into that facility was in the $6 million range. Right. This year, it's jumping up into the $9 million range. and it's projected in 2020 to be about $15.5 million. So it's a substantial increase, because what's happening is our expenses continue to increase, just as everybody's expenses increase. Our revenues, at best, are staying flat. If anything, they're
They're
declining.
going to go down because of Medicaid reimbursements are going down on a per-person basis.
Yes, and so we've known about these changes for a number of years, and so in 2013, the board created a Morris View Advisory Committee. We have several family members on that group and several outside professionals and then freeholders and staff. And we've been working very closely with family members because for so many people, for approximately 283 individuals, this is their home, and this has been an important part of the county government for so long. And as I've experienced Morris View, as I've seen it, as I've met people who've been impacted by it, the phrase that is constantly coming up is that it is the gem of Morris County. And so we've commissioned a number of different reports, and several months ago, the Freeholder Board, at the receipt of one of those reports, unanimously agreed that we would not sell the facility, and that is in contrast to what many, many counties are doing throughout New Jersey. But we are looking at currently, we haven't made any decisions, but as a possible lease to bring in an outside provider where we continue to own the facility, but we have an operator who runs it for us. The rationale for that would be that we would get the loss off of our books. We would continue to retain ownership, so we can continue to do our best to make sure that if there was a change, that it wouldn't impact the quality of care. And so those decisions are currently ongoing. We had a special meeting at Morris View for the entire public, but specifically for family members and staff there, just in early July, the first week of July. We followed that back up with another call for comment and questions at our first Freeholder meeting in July. And so I say that because we would absolutely welcome now or at any Freeholder meeting, feedback on your thoughts on that. If you have questions, we welcome them, but we'd really like as much feedback as possible.
We can provide you additional data on this. I mean, it is a very important decision for us to step out of the direct care of our own citizens, and these, a vast majority of the folks that are in there have paid taxes their entire life, have lived there their entire life, and knowing that the healthcare quality can be very turbulent and differ greatly from facility to facility, we have managed to maintain just a superior level of care and a phenomenal staff. So the concern, particularly for me, if we have to go this direction, are the terms and conditions by which we lease the building, by which we mandate care and quality and treatment of our staff. But certainly, if you privatize the direct care piece, it changes everything in terms of pension and fringe and benefits and pay, and obviously they can contract with a greater scope than we can for additional services. So there's a tremendous amount of give and take, and this has been a core issue for us, well, all year long and for years before that. So as Hank said, we welcome your input and view, and we can certainly provide you additional information on this, but it really is a very pivotal decision for us. But in the meantime, we also provide just an array of critical services to our aging, disabilities, and veteran services, mental health services, substance abuse, emergency assistance services, and transportation services. A lot of these, too, are undergoing significant change at the state level in the way they're funded. So this is another watch area for us to ensure that collectively with the county and the nonprofits and agencies, we can still maintain a level of quality of care and concern for our residents. And stay tuned. Okay, we obviously are focused on public safety and provide a vast number of services that you have come to know. The Sheriff's Office, obviously, the courthouse security, the crime scene investigation, canine services to all municipalities. Apparently, Mendham Township has like the most call out of dogs. Johnny. Really can't really speak to why we have so many, but maybe your attorney can. The prosecutor's office, obviously our correctional facility, our Office of Emergency Management, Public Safety Training Academy, the 911 Communication Center, Office of Health Management, Juvenile Detention Center and Youth Shelter, our medical examiner's office, and the county-wide weights and measure services. So again, it's a significant part of our budget, but obviously important.